Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be just sitting down and chatting with you about what I actually did to start and grow my small business. I feel like I look on YouTube for videos like this, but people share a bunch of BS answers and I'm like, yeah, but what did you really do? Like, what were the actual steps that you took to begin creating your product, to market your product, to make money on your product? Like, how the heck did you do that? So that is what you can expect from today's video. Okay, so my small business, if you are not familiar, is the One Ray Guided Wellness Journal, which is a daily log to help you stay accountable and achieve your health goals, to build healthy habits, to feel positive, to develop a good relationship with your mental and physical health, and ultimately to guide you to become your happiest and healthiest self. A long story, my journey first began when I first graduated physical therapy assistant school with my college degree back in 2016, and I started just wellness coaching because I saw a need in my outpatient physical therapy patients where they didn't understand basic healthy habits, basic self-care, how to eat right, how to move correctly, how to sleep well, how to manage stress. I saw a need that was not being fulfilled in average people, and in turn, because of that, they were having a hard time dealing with curing their injury. So much of the conversations that I had in outpatient therapy, and I still have with my patients to this day, have to do with diet, exercise, hydration, sleep, stress management, mental health, self-talk, goal setting, all of those things. So I felt called to start coaching wellness. Now, I say that term very loosely because here I am, 21 years old, no experience in the field, just a good degree with a medical license, not qualified to give advice, not qualified to do anything outside of heal an injury. I said, what the heck, let's start. And I had 4 people who I've known throughout my life who I asked a series of questions, and I helped them track their healthy habits every week and stay accountable and learn how to talk to themselves in a positive way. I did have a little success with it, and I met some incredible people and really truly helped people in talking to themselves, but I felt like it wasn't enough and it wasn't what I was called to do. So from there, my boyfriend was the one who said, hey, the coaching you do might be able to be summed up in a guided journal, because I have been all about journaling for years and years. I'm crazy with my journals. You can track all of my success like in my life through my journals in the past 10 years. And he said, you love journaling. Why don't you just combine what you're doing for the self-accountability health coaching into a journal, and thus brought about the One Ray Journal. Now, probably the smartest thing that I have ever done in my business is hire someone to help who is a professional graphic designer to make the journal. I thought about doing it myself, and then I quickly realized I have no idea how to use Adobe Cloud Design Shop. I don't even know what it's called. And so randomly in 2018, I put an ad or a post on my Instagram and was like, hey, if anyone here is a graphic designer, like, hit me up. And I got 7 people, and then the day later, the 8th person was Emily Frazier, who I went to high school with, who was like, hey, I don't know if you're still looking for someone, but here's my portfolio. And it was 100,000 times better than anyone who had reached out to me. So I was like, yes, I don't know if you are interested in this, but I need and want your help. Basically, I told her, here are the prompts that I want included, and she formatted it in a way that made sense, that was systematic, that was made for beginners. She designed the cover, which she put so much intentionality behind it, from the spiral sun, which is my logo, to the geode pattern rock, which is, they're all the same on the outside, and when you crack them open, they're different patterns on the inside, similar to the journal. I mean, incredible. There's no way I could have successfully done all of this on my own because I don't have that artistic eye. Also, she put the specs together, she put the whole formatting together, so when I send it to the printing press, they know exactly what to do with it. Those are not things that I had the time or energy to dedicate to learning, so I kind of put it all in her hands, and she has stepped up in a way that I never expected. So she will be my graphic designer for life, we'll just say that. Good Help is a little expensive to invest in, but honestly, it will save you. And if you're serious about building something that is going to be your business and that's going to make you a lot of money and last forever, it's important to invest in help if you don't know or don't have the resources or the access to knowledge and you do have a little bit of money saved up. It's a smart thing to invest in. Now, that leads me to my next thing that I'm proud of myself for doing, which is paying for everything out of my own pocket. And let me explain. This is impossible for every company that is built and every small business because sometimes the startup costs are super, super expensive. But for me, I had some money saved up from my physical therapy job, which I always suggest working somewhere first, saving up the money from that, and then investing that into your business because you want to invest money that you can afford to lose. This is my mindset going in. I don't know, this is not professional advice. You came here to hear my story and how I did things, and one of the things that I firmly believe in is being able to invest money into my business that I can afford to lose. I do not put myself in debt. I do not come close to my savings. I don't mess around with any of that. I play with house money and I make sure that it's enough that if tomorrow it somehow failed, that's okay. So I saved up the money. I paid Emily to be the graphic designer. I paid for the journals to be printed, the first batch. And then I made some money from there. And then I take that money that I make from the journals, I invest it back into the next set of journals. I invest it into Emily, who's making the next journal and the next journal and the next journal. And the profit that I make from each launch goes directly back into the business. So what that means, and this is so important to know, is that I'm on year 2 of the journals. This is year 5 for me in having an online platform. But in terms of building my journals up, I'm in year 2 and I have not made a single dollar from the journals because everything I make, every profit that I make, which profit overall is how much you sell the product for minus how much the product costs to have made. My journals are all made in America, so they're a little more expensive, but I do have a good profit margin, at least in my opinion, where I'm able to pay off the next shipment pretty easily, and it's not too far out that I will start to make a profit on the journals. So yeah, everything has come out of my bank account. I'm very smart with the way that I do put it in there, and I'm very proud of how I've done that, and that's been an accumulation of my dad, who has given me financial advice, and my friends who are successful small business owners, them helping me with my profit margins and all of that as well. Okay, so now for a mistake that I made, I created the journals. It was over 6 months that Emily made them. I got them printed, they arrived at my house. I think my first shipment was 100 journals, I wanna say, 100 or 150. I wish that I had built up an online community before I ever launched a product, and here's why. I had about 250 Instagram followers at the time who were people that I knew in my life, like friends, family. They weren't people who were necessarily my target audience. So I didn't know much about a target audience at the time. I knew like, here's who probably would be interested in my journal, but I didn't specify it, which I have since done. So I guess this is kind of 2 mistakes that I made. One of them was not specifying my target audience because it felt like I was just kind of pitching to everyone, which is, my journal is not for everyone. And I wish I would have built up an online presence, an online community to sell to, because it's really hard to sell a product when you don't have anyone to sell to. So I should have definitely done that, considering the first day that I launched, I was so excited. 2 people ended up purchasing journals on launch day. One was one of my mom's best friends and the other was my boyfriend. So as you can tell, it was a fail, but it's fine because we moved on. I didn't like dwell on it. We just kept going. The third mistake that I made was not promoting the product and not even talking about the product in advance to when I launched it. So this is something that I did with my pink and cranberry journals last year. I announced them in November and then we talked about them for a month and a half, really in depth, and then when they actually launched in December, they were much more of a success because people knew what they were. When I launched the journals the very first time on March 31st, 2019, I did not share what they were. I just said, hey, buy my product, buy my product. And it was like, on the other side, I would have been like, why? What is this for? What is this gonna help me solve? What I do now and what I should have done before I launched them if I wanted to sell more journals was I should have clearly explained what they are and what problem they solve. If you are thinking of selling a product or creating a product and it doesn't solve a problem, or it doesn't have a unique selling position, which makes it different than others, either it's more convenient or more beautiful or more desirable, like if there's no edge to your product and it doesn't solve a problem, you won't have a successful product. And this is something that I've learned, not my own advice. My journals have done so well because one, they're absolutely beautiful and they're unique and there's a lot of intention behind it. Like the cover designs are just beautiful. And two, because nothing like them exists. And I'm so glad that I took time to recognize that when I scoured through my market research, which was Amazon, Target, Google, looking at all the other journals out there. None of them are quite like mine, which is why mine have done so well. Do I expect people to copy them once they get to be more well-known? 1000%, it's inevitable. But something that I've done is get a copyright, get a trademark to make sure that that does not happen and that no one can take my wording on them, because that's a very special thing that we have taken so much time and effort to put together. Something that I'm proud of that I did was put myself out there and start doing in-person events. So becoming a vendor at a booth, doing pop-up shops, being part of events. That was all really smart. I'm so glad that my friend Annie of Ann Kate has just shown me the ropes in this. And honestly, I owe her the credit to this because she has helped me in so many ways. I started doing events where I would pay a vendor fee, I would sell my journals, and you know, I'd make a little bit of money. It wasn't a lot with the vendor fee, which is usually pretty expensive, combined with my actual cost per unit. I just kind of broke even, maybe made a little bit more than that. But something that I started branching out from that was I started reaching out to small businesses and women-owned companies, my own, and just said, hey, I have this product, here's how I think it would benefit your community and your clientele. Would you be interested in collaborating? Maybe I could come in, set up a table, sell my journals, you know, offer some value to your customers. And I did that for all of the end of 2019. I worked with some amazing companies. I got to know some really cool people. And obviously that came to a halt in 2020, but I'm so glad I did that because some of those pop-up events were events that I did not have a vendor fee and I did really well selling journals. So I made a good amount of money doing them. Back when I very first started in March of 2019, I signed up for an event locally in Cleveland called Live Well Willoughby. And at one of the events that I did, the person who was in charge of Live Well, and his name is Chad Gurley, came to the event and he was like, hey, I saw you signed up for this event that I'm in charge of. And I was like, yes, I'm so excited for it. And Chad is somebody that I regularly go to for advice. He's become one of my friends, somebody that I absolutely respect and who is so successful in what he does. And so one of the things that I'm really happy that I did, and that's just one story out of so many, is establish relationships and make connections that were deeper than just how can your business help my business, how can mine help yours. I'm not interested in that. I don't want to meet for coffee and talk about how we can promote each other. I want to have a friendship. I want to get to know you and what your interests are and what your passions are and your family and your dog's name. I'm interested in developing relationships and not just for the sake of promotion. I think the best business comes from genuine, authentic connections that don't feel forced. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people out there who do not understand this, who continually try to sell you and pitch you and all of this. I remember specifically being at an event where someone was talking to me almost as if it were an interview, and he was asking me question after question after question. And I'm like, whoa, dude, like, I just want to have a conversation. I couldn't even ask, like, and how about you? Because it was just like the next question. And then they were like handing me their card, and I was like, what? They like poked me with their card as I was looking them in the eye and talking. And I was like, wait, what is going on right now? They're like, let's meet for coffee. And I'm like, I don't want to meet for coffee, you robot. So I think a lot of times in business school, I don't know because I didn't go, but I think you're taught to be a little bit forward and pushy. honestly, coming from someone who has done this, I think the most authentic and genuine relationships will bring you the most reward. Definitely a mistake that I've made that I continue to make is overextending myself. So trying to be promoting 10 to 12 pieces of content across 7 platforms of social media does not work for me, but something that does work for me is just documenting versus trying to create over and over and over again. So most of my videos are me just sitting on the couch talking about things that I share with my boyfriend on a daily basis. Vlogs, here's how I pack my journals, here's how I make promotional cards, whatever. I document a lot of things because that's the kind of content I'm interested from other people. I think when you try and recreate the wheel over and over and over again, you get burnt out and exhausted because it's a lot of energy to even just start. So one of the ways that I grew the business was just sharing my story. I'm kind of growing my business and my personal brand at the same time, which is a lot to juggle. And some weeks more attention goes to YouTube, some weeks more attention goes to the journals, some weeks I can't give attention to either because I'm not feeling good or I'm burnt out or whatever. So I don't know if that would be a mistake or a lesson or something that I'm happy about, but yeah, I have to be mindful of not burning out and sticking to a couple different platforms to do a really great job on instead of trying to post a TikTok once a week and Facebook post once a week. Like, my main things are YouTube and Instagram, so I like to stay consistent with both of those and give you more content on both because I spend the most time on both of those platforms consuming other people's content. Something that I am incredibly proud of is my ability to speak in a public environment. So public speaking, to appear more confident and to, I don't know, just win at life is to become a good speaker. And I know it's difficult to do. It comes a little more naturally for me because my parents put me on stage at the age of 5 and I never truly came off. So it was something that I've always practiced and developed. And make no mistake, I was a terrible actor, singer. I'm okay at dancing actually, but I was terrible in that environment. But the skills that I learned in being able to breathe properly and stand on stage and evoke emotion and connection and really look at people in the audience is something that has given me power and a little bit of confidence when I was lacking. So I'm actually not a great communicator one-on-one, especially if it's conflict related or having an uncomfortable conversation, which I have to do a lot of the times because running a business, a lot of times things are up in flames. And I really had to deliver messages in a way that was difficult for me one-on-one. Whereas speaking in front of a crowd, I'm in control and I know it and I can feel it and it feels good and I love it. So if you have an opportunity to join a Toastmaster, actually in Rocky River, one of my good friends, Christy, is on the board in charge of the Toastmasters or something like that. So if you're on the west side of Clee and you want to join, she's fantastic. I definitely think you should reach out to her. But joining Toastmasters or getting comfortable talking to your phone or using your diaphragm to breathe, taking an online class, get out and practice public speaking because it will give you leverage over anything else, any other skill you could learn. I've had to pitch myself multiple times, basically every single day, every time I make a video, every time I send an email, talk on the phone, and knowing that I probably won't trip over my words because I'm confident in what I have to say, I believe in my ability to succeed, I feel good about who I am as a person and my ability to communicate. That helps a lot, and I don't get anxious. If I do feel a little nervous, it's more so excited nerves, and so I think that could be a very powerful thing for you, and I suggest working on that before you even create the product, because when you have a business, you have to be very direct. And a lot of times that means telling someone, I see where you're coming from, but this is how I feel, and so this is how it's gonna go. I didn't start a business so that I could take orders from someone else. I like to be in charge. I like to call the shots. I know what I want. I have a clear vision of where I'm going. And being a strong communicator, being confident in the way that I speak has a lot to do with that. A lot of times you're going to hurt people's feelings, and even though it's not personal, it's just business. And so I think getting confident in your ability to do that is going to help you and save you a lot of heartache and headache that you could be pouring into a creative project you're working on. Ironically, I have a business that's centered around wellness, but I think one of the biggest things I'm proud of myself for doing is taking good care of myself, because when you're leading a team, when you're steering the ship, when you're in charge and you're creating and riding the momentum wave, you have got to treat yourself like an athlete would treat their body. You cannot do great things in this world, I believe, if you aren't prioritizing good sleep and energizing nutrition and movement that allows you to relieve stress and channel your energy. I think those are all very, very important things. And so taking good care of yourself is something that's important to being successful, steering the ship, and making money, honey. Some of the ways that I take good care of myself is that I go to bed at a ridiculously early time, between 8 and 9 p.m. I don't go to every social event that I'm invited to. I have a hard time in social settings, and it's something that I'm working on. I eat healthy, I eat vegetables, I don't always eat dessert. Even when it's something that I really want, I save it for the weekends when I don't need focused, detail-oriented energy. And I show up to my workouts, whether I'm feeling like it, whether I'm not, I show up anyways, because I know that I will not be successful unless I stick to these things. When I very first started my business 2 years ago, I was more than lost. I was moving out of my childhood home. I was overwhelmed. We were moving apartments into a new one where we are right now. And I was just like, oh, and we found out my dog had cancer. It was a really stressful time in my life, and I somehow got through it because I knew that it would end. The biggest piece of advice that I wish I knew back then, there's actually two. One of them is to be light, have fun, and take every day as it comes. And I know this sounds like flaky surface level advice, but it's so true. When I have a good spirit about what I'm doing and I'm doing it to have fun first and foremost, that's when the best creative projects happen for me. When I'm heavy and putting pressure on myself and stressing about it, when in actuality there's no reason to do that, the quality of work that I do does not come out near to what it does when I'm having fun. The second thing is that you have got to believe in yourself. There are so many nights that I would doubt myself and doubt my ability to succeed and doubt that this was going anywhere because I wasn't seeing the numbers in real time. And then one day it got to be too difficult for me to create momentum and create content and work and build a successful customer base and all of that. It got too heavy to do that when I was doubting myself. I was only able to do that when I have a fierce belief that I'm going to do this regardless of what the current landscape looks like. It's going to be successful even if it's not right now. And this is reaffirmed by my parents and my boyfriend to me quite often, which is huge in having a strong support system. They see it, they believe in the vision. The reason that I share with you my experience and my failures and my successes is because I want you to be successful, and I want you to do it in a way that both brings you financial success and personal happiness. Is a big success goal for me. And so I hope these are helpful, and make sure that, I hope these are helpful, and thank you guys for watching. I'll be sharing more of my story in the next few weeks and videos. So don't forget to subscribe, as that's the best way to support your favorite content creators. Thanks guys, I love you, and I'll see you next week.